the last video, you looked at the consumer and the producer surplus from the point of view of econ. Today, in this video, we'll talk about the math side. So we'll make a definition that's precise, that you can apply to a function and get a number out of it. In this picture, which you have in your notes, you've already seen that the consumer surplus would be the area of this region between the demand curve and the fixed price. The producer's surplus would be the area of this region right here between the fixed price and the green curve, the supply function. In this class, we spend a lot of time dealing with area and computing areas using integrals. That's what we'll need here as well. So let's make the math definition. I'm going to define the consumer surplus at the price let's say at the point is I'll use CS for consumer surplus. I want the area in orange. So it's going to be the integral from 0 to x0 of top minus bottom. Top is d of x. Bottom is p0. It's a constant, so that's not going to be too hard to integrate. So that's the consumer surplus, right? And x0 you get because d of x0 gives you that price p0. Now if you want the producer surplus, surplus is the integral from 0 to x0 again. But because we're looking at this bright light green region, top will be p0 and bottom will be the green curve, so the supply curve. So now it's going to be p0 minus s of x dx, where s of x0 equals p0. So in the last video, you saw that consumer surplus represented how much the consumers were saving because they were paying the fixed price P0 instead of paying the maximum they were willing to pay. So in some sense, by paying P0, they feel they have a good deal, they're saving some money, and this is the total amount of money that all consumers are saving together as a group. Similarly, the producer, some of them were willing to sell for less. Some of them were willing to say sell for 10 and this is 30. So that extra $20 is additional benefit that the producers are getting. And if you add all of those up for all producers, you'll get the producer surplus. So that's the extra money that the producers have in their pocket because they sold at a price of P0 instead of selling at the absolute minimum they were willing to take. All right, so let's try an example. All right, so assume that the demand function of an iMac is d of x, which is 1200 minus 0.2x in dollars. So find the consumer surplus when 500 units are sold. All right, so let me write this definition down, this formula down, and then we'll see which parts of this formula are given straight out to us and which ones we'll need to work for. So the consumer surplus would be the integral from 0 to x0 of d of x So let's see which ones we have. 500 units. Number of units is x, so this would be x0. So in this case, I'm given x0, not p0. I have my d of x here. So the only missing part is this p0. But we're told that P0 is d of x0. That's what was right here. And so I can get P0 easily. I just apply my formula for d to 500. And so I get 1200 minus 100, I get 1100. So this is the price at which you're selling your 500 iMacs. All right, so let's plug that into the formula. The consumer surplus would be the integral from 0 to 500. D of x is 1200 minus 0.2x. And then I'm going to subtract my P0 here. And so I'll get 100 minus 0.2x dx. That's 100x minus 0.2x squared divided by 2. Now I have bounds, so I'm going to plug in 0 and 50. So at 50, I'll get 100 times 50 minus 0.1. If I cancel the two 2's, 50 squared. So that's what I get if I plug in 50 into this. Now I need to subtract what I get by plugging in 0, but that would be 0 minus 0, so that will just disappear. And so what will I get? Sorry, it was 500. So an extra 0 here, an extra 0 here, an extra 0 here, an extra 0 here. Sorry, it's 500. And so now what I got, I calculated it before, I got, well, here it's not so bad. I get 50,000. That will be 250,000. But if I multiply by 0.1, I'll move one of the zeros, so I'll get 25,000, so I get $25,000. All right, so that's the consumer surplus. So the 500 customers that are buying this iMac at our price of $1,100 are actually saving $25,000 if you compare that price to what they were willing to pay. So the 500 consumers buying at $1,100 are saving $25,000 total by buying at that price compared to what they were willing to pay. In the next video, I'll show you one where you have both a demand and a supply curve, so you can find the equilibrium and find the consumer and producer surplus there.